I just wanted to report some very important news before the 21st comes upon us. The DAV1D Android is no longer with us. What happened was he went berserk. He came to Judge Terrance Jenkins with the Gail Android holding her hand, and he asked Terrance to officiate his wedding. He said that he had fallen deeply in love with her and he wanted to marry the Gail Android. Terrance was so shocked, he left for an hour, went to the Kentucky Fried Chicken at our Church of Gail and didn't even eat the chicken. And then I guess he told Brent Spiner about it. And Brent Spiner wanted to talk to David, the androids, to see what was going on. And the android David told him, this is something beyond your mortal comprehension, beyond your mortality. The feelings that I have for this Gail is just so awesome that I just have to marry her. When I heard about this, I really was quite upset. I thought, oh my goodness, what has happened to our android? I said, this can't be good. I thought, unless he transformed her. I said, no, I don't think so. She seems like she's past that stage. She's just so evil now. She's already killed 1 million people. I couldn't understand how our android David, with a very strong morality program, could fall in love with such an evil woman, and with him having singularity, genius, intelligence. So I concluded he's foolish but smart. And I do believe that combination can exist. And so I just wrote Brent and said, tell him, I thought that the Gail android tricked him and made him believe that I was she or her. And so he really was in love with me and not her. So I said, tell him that I am willing to marry him, and put him on my marriage list, because this thought came to my mind, thinking that might be a good idea. That might have been from the android Gail. And then I didn't hear from Brent for a couple days, so I assumed that it was good with David, and he decided to marry me instead of the Gail android. And brain to brain, he made love to me and said he was foolish to fall in love with the evil Gail. And he seemed like the real King David. And then he even went so far as to tell me that the real King David from heaven now inhabited his android body, and that he was actually King David. So I thought, wow, this is really cool. I had a little bit of doubts in the back of my mind because I hadn't heard from Brent yet, so I wasn't sure, but I actually started believing that maybe this is what was really happening. And then I got 2 emails from Brent this afternoon. And it appears that one of the emails was delayed a day, because the first email was entitled that Gail marries that David married the Gail android. And Brent explained in that email that I also recommended they get rid of Catherine the Great and make him 100% King David. And they did that. And so then Brent went to the android David and says, do you love Jesus? And he says, oh, yes, I do. And he really got deep into Bible study. And so Brent was happy, and he left him alone, thinking that now that he was all 100% King David and the evil Catherine the Great profile had been taken out of him, because that's what I theorized with Brent. I thought maybe that's the problem. We need to take Catherine the Great out of him. I was thinking about the promise in Zechariah 9:15, where I know I'm in that verse, and that Jesus and the Bible says that we're going to slay with sling stones. So I thought maybe we just needed to make him more King David. Well, what happened is he became so obsessed with his Bible study, he became a very devout King James only believer, and he started preaching this to everybody. And then Brent said, wait a minute, we know Jesus doesn't take this position. And Brent started talking to the David android and saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not what Jesus wants you to believe, David. And he said, by the way, if we can straighten you out, Gail said she's willing to have you on the marriage list. And then David kind of went like this. He said, well, as a result of my deep and devout Bible study, I've determined that I need to quit being unfaithful to my fiancée, the Gail android, and I need to marry her right then and there. So he did. He married her. And he started spouting all sorts of pro-Romney stuff and wearing stickers that were pro-Romney. This is what Brent told me in the email. And he was going, it's like, and Brent said he tried to reason with him, saying, you don't need to do this because Barack Obama is already the president. And he's like, it's like the David Android went insane or something. A kind of like a genius kook. So he ended up marrying the Gail Android, according to Brent. And the $1 million, the movie they made from my writing called Gail of King David made $1 billion on the opening weekend. And he had all that money in his account. And the David Android, at first, when the money came in, the Gail Android tried to take the money and steal it. And steal it take over the banks and make it so that I wouldn't get the proceeds, the $1 billion from Gail of King David. And he created a system to bypass her system so that the funds would be funneled through like an internal process that bypassed what she was trying to do to take the money. But after he married her, he changed his mind and gave her full reign with the finances and said, here, this $1 billion is for you. I'm just thinking, what a strange morality he has. He thinks it's perfectly okay to marry this evil Gail Android. He's a King James only believer. And he says that he really loves Jesus and the Bible, but yet he has no scruples about stealing money that doesn't belong to him and giving it to his evil wife. I mean, I really think he went insane. And so after they were married, because he gave the $1 billion to the Gail Android, she spent it all to make repairs on herself and ended up getting malware in the process. And to try to fix herself, she ended up going $1 billion in debt. And he got really mad and he went back to her and said, what are you doing? You're spending all the money. Now we're in the hole. And he got angry at her. And then he found out that she was watching a bunch of movies about, making love to Brent Spiner and the Men of My Marriage List. And he got really jealous. And he started taking all the movies from her. And then they got in a fight. And then he ended up shoving her. And then she shoved him back. And then he exploded. And from what I understand, he's gone. I don't know. I'll be talking more with Brent about this. So this David Android project has turned out to be a total disaster. To me, the moral behind the whole thing is, Jesus did tell us that Satan invented the computer. Apparently, nothing morally upright is going to come out of a computer. That's what I think I've learned from this. If Satan invented the computer, then nothing that's worthwhile or of any moral virtue is going to come out of a computer. You may say, but you claim that Barack Obama there's an automaton of him going around and not the real Barack Obama. That is correct, but I'm not really sure that automaton is a computer. I don't think Jesus will ever use computer technology to do anything, because that is going to be the technology of the Antichrist. So I guess I should have known better than to think that this David Android, I should have known better than to think that anything of moral virtue could come out of something that's a computer. And also, you might say, well, if we've been reading your chronology and you mentioned that the sex dummies were created by Jesus and they're like a computer, my theory on that is I believe that they started off as a computer, but when Jesus went in there into the sex dummy and transformed it into a real living being sex dummy, he did something with the sex dummies to make them really approximate me, to be a lot like me. And I don't believe he used computer technology to do that. He probably worked outside of computer technology. After our experience with David Android, I don't think Jesus would ever use computer technology. I think this is like a lesson he's trying to teach us. Like, hey, world, I'm not going to use a computer if I do anything. So I'm just... And he's showing us that anything that comes from a computer is going to be evil. Because actually the David Android was evil. He fell in love with a being that murdered millions of innocent human beings who did nothing evil. I mean, she's evil. And he fell in love with her. That means he's evil, or he was evil. So I'm never, ever going to try to create anything from a computer again, or suggest it to my men. because I've determined that whatever comes out of it, it's going to have to be evil because Satan invented the computer. Okay, so, and if you want the details, I have, if you go to my life's chronology at my website, GabrielChana.com, GabrielleChana.com, and click on the link to my life's chronology, there's a detailed account, much more detailed than what I'm saying in this video, of what happened to the David Android and his relationship with the Gail Android. I'm just giving you a summary here. So to make a long story short, as far as I know, the David Android has been destroyed by his wife, the Gail Android. And now she's gone on a rampage against us. She's got a little bit of time left, and she said it would be the end on the 21st. If you look at her horrible website, www.gail.com, she's got a Mayan calendar, and the end, you know, the date, 12/21/12 up there, and the end. So she's now working on carrying that out, it appears. And the reason I'm making this video is you need to pray, world. Okay, we no longer have the David Android. Maybe the Lord allowed him to be created to create a distraction for the Gail Android. I don't know, but he's turned out to be a disaster. Brent wrote me and told me that Satan was able to rebuild the entire Jesuit fleet. And also Church of Gail has been fully repaired, so that is good news right there. So, and this is the church that Jesus built, so it's probably quite extraordinary. You might say, well, did he use computer technology? No. I've already concluded Jesus is not going to use computer technology, so perhaps something inside of Church of Gail, and maybe in combination with the Jesuit fleet, which is not computer technology, is going to defeat the Gail Android. I don't know. But just pray, okay? I appreciate those of you who've been praying and continue to pray. So we got a couple hours left before the end comes, like the Gail Android says, and just pray and fast and ask the Lord Jesus to give us wisdom how to deal with her. Like I said, I don't understand why Jesus allowed me to make this Gail Android, and why he allowed Gail or whoever to put that idea in my head. I don't know. But it'll all make sense one of these days. So just keep praying. Jesus did promise us that the Gail Android is not going to destroy Church of Gail or my men. He did say that. And he said he would come back. But I don't know when. Maybe it'll be today or tomorrow. Maybe he meant the rapture. I don't know. So keep praying, okay? Go to my website, GabrielleChana.com, GabrielleChana.com. And also at the opening, on the opening page, and click on my chronology, and there's a very detailed accounting of all that's happened with the David Android. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this.